Call me crazy if you want, but I've never liked store-bought pets.
Susie, you're a freak. So when I was in grade 8, my parents sent me to prep school because they thought I was a delinquent, which was a real fuck up on their part. Get to this school, make some friends. It's Halloween weekend. What are we doing? It's 2005. We're prank phone calling people. I prank phone call one of the girls at school. Is your refrigerator running? Whatever. Okay. That girl's mother was on the board of directors for this school because it was like a small little pathetic prep school. What I didn't know was that during this Halloween party, she was having Shabbat dinner. So I get called into the principal's office on Monday, and the principal's like, hey, were you prank phone calling people on the weekend? And I'm like, I don't get how that's any of your business. He goes, well, it is because you committed a hate crime. And I was like, oh, like, I gotta call your parents. I'm like, oh my God, my parents already sent me here because they think I'm fucked. And now you're gonna tell them that I committed a hate crime? I was just prank phone calling people. So my parents come in, my parents who have never defended me for anything ever. Listen to this guy say, oh, she prank phone called someone not knowing it was Shabbat and she committed a hate crime. My parents were like, okay. Principal goes, yeah, well, this could be grounds for expulsion. My parents are like, what? My parents immediately tell me, okay, well, clearly since this is a private school, that mother has this principal in her pocket. You gotta go apologize to her daughter. And I'm like, yeah, okay, no problem. I didn't think there was actually beef between me and this girl. Next day I get to school. Before I can apologize to her, there's an emergency assembly. The principal goes, someone here has committed a horrible crime over the weekend. And verbatim goes on to say, if you prank phone call people, if you do things like that outside of school, it will affect you inside of school, which really pissed me off because at that point in my life, I really liked throwing cherry bombs into porta potties. And I'm like, what? Can I not do that anymore without getting a talking to at school? So assembly's over. I go find that girl. Her name was Sophie. I was like, Sophie, I'm getting expelled. I don't know if you just saw that assembly about me, but like, I am so sorry I prank phone called you during Shabbat. I don't even know what Shabbat is. She goes, oh my God, my mom's crazy. She takes that stuff seriously. You know, it's like a holy dinner. And in my head, I'm like, well, why were you answering an unknown call during a holy dinner? But whatever. I'm like, no, totally. I totally get it. Can you tell her I didn't commit a hate crime? She's like, sure, for sure. But she didn't do that. She actually just went straight to the principal's office and said, I just ran into Sam in the hallway and she berated me and then punched me in the face. At which point I realized this had nothing to do with Shabbat and everything to do with the fact that she just didn't like me and she had the power to get me expelled. So she tells the principal I punched her in the face. Then she gets her friend to draw a comic of me beating her up and go to the principal and say, I found this on Sam's desk. She was drawing comics of beating up Sophie. I think this is what she's going to do. I get called back down. Okay, so now you punched her in the face. You drew a comic. You committed a hate crime. We're going to have to sit down with the board. I'm like, okay, whatever. I go outside. I call my dad. I'm like, they are going to expel me. Why don't you transfer me schools right now so that the expulsion doesn't show up on my permanent record? And he said to me, he's like, Sam, I already tried to do that. And the principal said, if we transfer you, he's going to say you were expelled anyway. So what we're hoping is that you just don't get expelled so nothing goes on your record. I'm like, so I'm stuck here. He's like, yeah, you're fucked. While I'm having this conversation, a girl comes up behind me. Her name was Jess. And she was like, oh, out of a movie. She goes, are you crying on the phone to your daddy? Guys, when I tell you, I turned around. I knocked that bitch unconscious. Little Motorola flip phone in one hand, I wish there was a video of this moment in my life. I fucking roundhouse punched that chick. She hit the fucking concrete. Sleep. So now I'm kind of relieved because I'm like, okay, I feel like I just put this bitch to sleep in the parking lot and maybe they'll just expel me on the spot instead of putting me in this limbo where I don't know if I'm getting expelled or not. Riddle me this. No one ever tells the principal that this girl got knocked unconscious. She didn't either, which is actually pretty G of her. And the next day he calls me down to the office. I'm thinking I'm going to get expelled. He goes, okay, we've come to an agreement. You can stay here for the rest of the year, but you have to leave at the end of the year. Which obviously at this point I have no interest in doing because I fucking hate everybody. But I'm also like, well, I don't want to have an expulsion on my permanent record. So I stay for the rest of the year. Last day of school, I tell the principal to go fuck himself. I tell Sophie to go fuck herself. 5 years later, I see her at a party. He chases me down 5 flights of stairs trying to beat the shit out of me. I'm like, bitch, you got me expelled. I narrowly escaped her. I had to hide behind a security guard. Anyway, next year I went to a new school, student council president, popular, obviously. And then, you know, I grew up to be a normal, nice, great person. And she grew up to marry a gay man. I heard this through the grapevine. She actually just married a gay dude. I guess he wanted a beard and I don't know why he chose her. She's an absolute dog. But anyway, I think she's getting a divorce now. God bless her ex-husband. Run, sir. Run as fast as you can into the arms of a loving man. Honestly, her mom's so crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if she like saw this TikTok and like tried to sue me.